Okay. Yes. So good afternoon, everybody. I hope you all are doing well. And as you all know that, this is our ninth workshop together, and we've been building this journey wherein, it just uplifts us as teachers. So here we have our ninth workshop that we have that is about fine motor skills. This thing is quite close to me because this particular skills that we need to focus on our preschool children, at times it does get little granted. So, and I'll move as and when we are moving forward. You'll come to know why I'm trying to tell you that it's something that needs to be really, really focused on. Okay, so let's just start without any more wait. So we have these things that we will be covering this time. That is, we have the assessment that we'll do of the previous workshop that we did, and so on and so forth. These are the things that we will be covering today. Okay. My basic agenda for today is that for you teachers is that you need to know and understand what exactly are fine motor skills and what kind of activities can we do in the classroom that can help the children develop these skills. There is a difference in fine motor skill, gross motor skill. I will tell you all about it, but my major and most important agenda is that. Okay. So let's just start. I want you all to open your chat box and be ready. I'll be sharing some, we have some, I've put in some anecdotes with some options, and I've also put in some questions related to the previous activity, previous workshop that we did. So let's just start with that. Okay. Come on. You can read the options. Here I am. I'm just going to read the question for you. So this is an anecdote basically. During circle time, Arav keeps getting up and walking around in the classroom. What should the teacher do first? Okay, I'm already getting some. Good afternoon, everybody. And yes, please come on, start putting in. Okay, option two can be okay. That will be our first response to his actions. That okay, can you sit quietly without asking any questions? Just tell him that is also an approach. But if he keeps doing it consistently, we need to observe why he's leaving. Is it that he's uncomfortable where he's sitting? Is it that he's not able to focus, or is it that he has a lot of energy that he wants to kickstart? So yes, but know the reason. Yes, this is you need to know the third option would be more apt. But yes, first time you can definitely try the option two, that is ask him to sit quietly, and then but you need to do it if it's recurring. Next one. Superb. Thank you for the response, teachers. This is what I like, like so many responses in one go. Okay. Teacher notices that children become restless after sitting for 20 minutes. What is the best strategy that you can try? Yes, we can do is a short movement, or a brain icebreaker, or a something that will give them just a quick activity or a game, a physical activity, and then you will get their attention back when you want to resume the lesson. Very good. Yes, it's option two. No, no, there are no brain break. Yes. Next, which statement best reflects positive classroom language? Easy. This is yes. So we want see what I've tried and noticed also when I was a preschool teacher, that positive environment and positive reinforcement I used to try and I used to incorporate, and that was the only department where I used to struggle the most because in the classroom there are so many things happening, so many children, you would end up, like just okay, stop talking, okay, come on, don't run. But if we gradually do it, I could see that, okay, I did also, even I had developed that patience to have that positive reinforcement. And automatically only those kind of statements used to come out then. So you can also try that. It's not it's not a cakewalk, but definitely you can try. Next one. During art time, Ria finishes her work early and begins disturbing, her classmates. What should the teacher do? She has to give her and be ready with an extension activity as well. So see here also you can see it overlaps. So if you want, you can initially ask her to sit quietly, like just once, and see whether she's able to do it or no. But if at all she's struggling, you can give her a different activity, or you can already tell the children that once you are done with your activity, keep another, some blocks or some reading books, something ready in the corner. Tell the child, okay, you once you are done, Ria, since you are done, you can go and sit there. And likewise, if any other child gets done with their activity, they can shift. So it becomes a normal thing. The other children are also not disturbed. So you can do that. Yes. Next one, according to the behavior iceberg, I hope you guys remember. See, that's what Dhanlakshmi ma'am, when you said if we give extra activity, that's what my suggestion was, that you can put, another, you can tell them beforehand that since once we complete this particular activity or this worksheet, here in the corner, you have some blocks for you, or we have some books for you. So whoever is done with their worksheet can then go and sit in that corner and play with the books, or read the books, or play with the blocks. So the children are also aware. So it won't be a problem. All the children will also go. So you remember, I hope you all remember the behavior iceberg. Yes, you have to understand, who is constantly talking during class may want to share many things, but it may not be, they may not channelized properly. Next one. Come on, come on, come on. We have lots to cover today. An energetic child enjoys moving around the classroom and often volunteers to help. Which strategy would best channel this energy? Yes, we need to assign the child a classroom responsibility. Yes, yes, superb teachers. Next one. A parent says, my child is always moving around. I think she's naughty. Which response best reflects the ideas discussed in this workshop that we did last time? So, which response will best reflect? Yes, somebody did type 2, but if it's for the previous one, it's okay. But yeah, so some children, they are naturally active. So we need to just help them out, channelize. Okay, here I think we are coming to an end of the end of the assessment thing. Let's just see. According to the pause, observe, response strategy, I hope you remember the behavior iceberg and this also. Pause, observe, and then response thing. What should the teacher do before reacting to the child's behavior? It's easy. This is all like, see, I tried to make it as, little challenging, but you teachers were listening to me and I can see that, so I'm happy. Great, great, great. Okay. The last one. Which statement best summarizes effective classroom management in preschool? When we have to manage the classroom management. Okay, we are on the next one. Again, it's option 3. It's positive relationships, engaging activities, all these things. That the major criteria is the focus on the child's overall development, not only academic, but emotional, social, cognitive, all the development that we need to focus on. Very good, very good. Yay. Okay, great, 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 great. All right, all right. Okay, teachers. Okay, you need to keep the chat box on, since we'll be starting with another, we'll be doing an icebreaker activity. So here in this ice breaking activity, I want you all to type, okay? But I will give you I'll throw a small challenge. For example, I want you non-dominant hand, as in I am a left-handed person, so my non-dominant hand is right. Okay, so I want you to use your non-dominant hand and only the four fingers, no thumb. I want you to use that and type your name in the chat box. Just type your name. For example, I'm using right. Are you guys so quick with your non-dominant hand? I want it non-dominant hand, okay? See, like this. Okay, sorry, something happened. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, you guys could do it. Yeah, it was little tricky without using the dominant hand. I hope so. Let's see the next activity. Without using your index finger. Teachers, now pause. Without using your index fingers, you have to type fine motor matters. Using your index finger, okay? You are not going to use your index finger. How are you guys so quick? This is too good. I also personally struggled. Fine motor matters without using your index finger. Okay. Now I'll ask you another question. Superb. So many, superb. I'm so happy to see this. Now, was it little challenging for you all to like not use your index finger while typing or use your non-dominant hand? If it was challenging, even little bit challenging, give me a thumbs up. If it was like easy peasy, give me a thumbs down. Was it challenging? Like little challenging, like you had to like consciously do it. Okay, I am not going to use my index finger, I'm not going to use my non-dominant hand. See, in most of the cases, as you all said, that it was easy, it was no sorry, it was challenging for you all. This is basically why see, imagine writing every day with fingers that aren't strong enough. See, our non-dominant hand, if you will write anything in the paper, you will see how the handwriting won't be as proficient as we have it with a dominating hand. Because these fingers are not yet developed for writing. Okay, teachers. So that's exactly how our preschoolers feel. Their fingers, their fine motor skills, around the fingers are not that developed as our fingers are developed, when it comes to writing. So that is a challenge that they will be also facing. Even though this was a very minute, a tiny challenge for us being adults, you can imagine what an uphill task it must be for our little ones. Yes. Okay. Now I want you all to, I want the chat box to be on pause, on hold. Close that window, the chat box window. Let's focus on the screen again. Okay. As and when if there is anything, we will do it. Come on. Okay. So now what are we going to talk about? As I told you, we are going to talk about what exactly are fine motor skills. I tried to give a very simple, I found this very cute quote and I've put it in like, it's little fingers and big learning. So here, see, when you think everything about a preschool child does using their hands, even before they learn to write. What are they doing? Let's see. Children use the small muscles of their hands throughout the day. So if the child is, picking something up, if there is a napkin here and the child is picking it up, so this is the small muscles that the child is using to pick up the napkin. If the child is playing with something, if the child is picking up the phone and handing it over to us, so this is where the fine motor skills are at work. Okay. So these small movements are called fine motor skills. These are the skills that the child is using, the fine motor skills. It is basically the ability to use these small muscles especially of hands, fingers, and wrists together with the eyes to perform a specific task. If I tell the child to pick up this napkin that is there, the child is using his eyes to see the napkin, then he's bending his wrist, he's going down, he's picking up it with his fingers, and there we have the napkin with in front of us. So this is what the fine motor skills are. This is exactly what we need to work on. You must have seen, when even in our lesson plans that we provide, along with the books, you can see that we have specifically given some time for fine motor skills, because it is at this age only that, we can work on these. And this age is where we can genuinely help the children. Okay, now, while running, jumping, all the other activities, fine motor activities require, they don't, these running and jumping, you don't have to be like, they can just run around haphazardly, they can jump around. But when we talk about fine motor skills, they need to have that control. So when they have that crayon in their hand, they need to have that control, that it should not go beyond this, outside this line, it should stay inside this paper. That is also some kind of a control that they have to apply. Coordination, precision that comes. So these skills develop gradually, and they develop gradually through repeated practice and play. Okay. Remember this. For example, I've provided you with lots and lots of examples here, like what are fine motor skills. So these examples, what you can do is you can use these examples and put it in your daily lives as a quick activity. For example, during snack time, tell the children to, if you are providing snacks, then give them spoons. If they are bringing from home, tell the parents to send a spoon. So you can teach them how to hold the spoon, how to eat with the spoon. They can do it. Some children will still use it like this. They will try to eat it like this by holding this. How to hold the spoon, how to eat. Eat in the sense how to properly hold, using our fingers. So this is what they can do. So this is what activities, or just a simple, just a routine that you can develop is, adding some fine motor skill. Because let me tell you why, as I mentioned in the beginning, that why it's little, I am more keen on helping children, when it comes to fine motor skills. It's also because, my own son, we didn't know he had the not worst, but yeah, he had the worst handwriting possible. It was worse than the doctor's prescription that we get. And we tried, we gave him, we used to take him to different teachers, like, okay, handwriting, it's not happening. Why is it this, that? We took him to 3-4 teachers just to improve his handwriting. And after that, we came to know that his fine motor skills, these muscles were not developed fully. That was the problem. He was having that lack of control in his with his pencil, and the handwriting used to go haywire. So such a simple thing, despite knowing all about fine motor skills, I have been, incorporating fine motor activities and games and everything with them since they were young. But this still happened, like he was still, the muscles were not very well developed. So here I'm telling you is that if we give them that proper push since childhood, it will really help the child. Okay. So holding the spoon, then we have the next one is holding a crayon, the pincer grip. We have cutting with scissors. You can keep child-friendly scissors with you, those blunt ones that come, and tell the children to cut them. That is an excellent fine motor skill activity. Then we have, completing puzzles. So they are fixing it, they are adjusting it, they are focusing on it. So they need to do it properly only, then only the puzzles will fix. So we can give that. You can do threading beads is a very good activity. Turning pages. This also needs to be taught to the children, and trust me, teachers, you can use it, during story time or any time. Show the children how to flip the pages. Some children will just do it like this, teach them. So this will help in developing their fine motor skills. You don't have to go beyond. You all know me very well by now that I will not give you any suggestions or activities that you have to, that will bombard you with more work. So you know that very well. So do these things, keep that in mind and do this. Trust me, it will work. Buttoning clothes. You can tell them to get a shirt from home and teach them how to button the clothes. This is superb. The eye-hand coordination, the focus, the precision, everything is at work here. Then we have opening and closing a school bag. Make them do it. Opening and closing their school dabba. Opening and closing the water bottle. Make them do it. So it is teaching them not only independence, but also it is helping them with their fine motor skills. So opening a water bottle, see, I just told you. Then we have peeling a banana. Get a banana or tell them to bring a banana to school and teach them how to peel it. So they have to do it with control. They can't be just, just peel it off like that. They have to learn. So this is where it will work. So these are, see, as you saw, I didn't mention writing because for preschoolers, fine motor skills is more than writing. Once they are into primary, the focus on these skills will be way less. So do these activities with them. Let's not just focus on, making them write. See, many people, they may think, it begins when the child holds a pencil, the fine motor skills. Okay, now we have to focus on it. No, it begins much earlier. In fact, since the time the child learns to grasp things or hold things is from when fine motor skills are at work. They are like, see, that's what, see, gripping objects, picking up tiny items, pinching, twisting, those toys, their toys also come where they have to twist certain things. They have to pull certain things. Why do we give them Play-Doh and everything to develop these skills? Tearing, holding, squeezing, all these things, they help them to develop the fine motor skills. So every one of these activities which I've mentioned here on the screen, they will strengthen the muscles that are needed for writing. So this is what we need along with when you want to focus on writing. We have to give them those kind of activities which strengthens these muscles. Okay. Now, fine motor skill, yes, they are the foundation of writing. Independence, as I said. So it is just an overlap, just a repetition of what I said. So see, this children who have strong hands find classroom tasks easier. That is like, personally experienced. I've seen also those children who have developed these fine motor skills very well. They find these activities, any tasks, any writing worksheet, anything very easy. And this, of course, will boost their confidence. But I didn't want to skip out on gross motor skills also, that what exactly are gross motor skills and what are the difference between the two. Okay, see now basically if you have to think, which skill do children usually learn first, running or writing? Just tell me, either it's running or writing, you can answer in the chat box. See, running, but running doesn't, yes, teachers. Okay, I got it. Okay, hold on now. Now running. So why basically, let me just, yeah. So see, the nature running is because these are the large muscles. Running requires the large muscles of our body, the legs. So these are developed before the smaller ones, before the tiny ones. So the nature has designed children's development in that sequence. Let's just not over push the children in making them right even before the child has, is very young. We don't want that pressure on the children, because it is not a part of that. Now, when you're asking that, when I said this, the large muscles, they are basically the gross motor skills. Gross motor skills, they involve the large muscles of the body. These movements, they require strength, balance, coordination. And for fine motor, again, we do require coordination, but there is control and precision also that comes in the picture in fine motor. So you can see the difference. Those are small muscles that are used, and for gross motor skills, the large muscles that are used of the body. I'm giving you some examples here: running, jumping. See, this is equally important. So if you've seen the lesson plans, we've given fine motor skills. We've also mentioned music and movement. Music and movement is basically where you can do gross motor skills activities, or make them play some games related to that. Outdoor play is also included in the gross motor skill activity. So you can do these things. Climbing, dancing, where the large muscles are used. Your entire hand is used when you're climbing, your legs are used when you're climbing, walking. These all develop the child's strength and they give them body control. The smaller parts, they come in this. So you can see I have tried to segregate the activities, like what are gross motor, what are fine motor. I am not going to repeat each and every activity. You can see it on the screen. You can read it, but you can see the difference where you are going to throw a ball, where the entire hand is at work. In threading of beads, only our fingers and that much is only at work, and our wrist and these parts are only at work, right? So for the hand also, I'm just saying the larger terms. So basically our arm, shoulder, all these things are at work when you're throwing a ball. Here only these parts are focused on. So that's what is the difference in these two things. Now, fine motor skills, of course, as I mentioned, they involve the muscles that are hands and fingers. So holding crayon, using scissors. This is a repetition, just a simple repetition. It's okay. I will just go through it. Okay. Now, the difference is that imagine asking a child to write neatly before even they have developed their hand strength. And trust me, I have done it personally. I didn't know that this was the issue with my child, and I used to keep telling him to write neatly. So you can imagine the struggle that child was facing. So it is asking, like, asking them to lift heavy weights, without even having that muscle to lift those weights, so they need to strengthen their bodies. Stronger shoulders, arms, wrists, fingers, they all work together to support. So if one of the thing is also like lacking that strength, it is going to affect the activity the child performs. So if my child had shoulder also was proper, arm is proper, the wrists are proper, we ignored the fingers, and that's where we realize the issue. So this is why the active play, outdoor activities are equally important, okay, as our table work. Now, in a classroom scenario, a teacher says, my nursery children don't write neatly. This is like in a staff room discussion. So possible answers could be, it cannot be that they are lazy. It cannot be that nowadays children don't like to write only. It cannot also be that, okay, you cannot even tell yourself that I must have not taught it properly. No. You must have taught it very well. The children are not lazy. The children are not like that. Now, what is the problem? It could also be the possible answers that you could get or give is that they have weak finger muscles. Their opportunities for fine motor play, they've not got that many opportunities. The pencils were introduced too early, right? When the crayons, they were still understanding that to hold the grip of thick crayons, the pencils were given them. Not enough practice that is given to them, when it comes to doing those fine motor, like, threading, cutting, tearing, squeezing, all these activities. The expectations that we have from our children, these young ones, may not be age appropriate. So these could be the possible answers. Not the child nor the teacher. Now I will display a list of activities, and you just have to identify whether it develops gross motor, so write G, or whether it develops fine motor, write F. Okay. Climbing a ladder. Come on, teachers. G or F? Yes, I just want to see if you've understood the difference between the two skills. Come on. Now I've come to the next one, teachers. Why are we still getting G? Is it for the earlier one? Okay, then I'll tell you. Okay, perfect. It's F, fine motor skills. Now pause. No more messages in the chat box. Wait. So I'll move ahead. This is not G, okay? This is not G. This is not gross motor skill. Catching a ball. Now this is, what will this be? I have changed. Look at the image and then type, teachers. Correct. Next one. I'm moving to the next one. Stop. Next one. I've shifted. I've moved on to the next one. Very good, teachers. Very good. Yes, it's gross motor skills. Using tweezers to pick up the pom-pom balls. And this is a fabulous activity. I think I have mentioned in many of the previous workshops also. And I've done this with the children where I used to teach. I've done it with my own children. And this is like the most amazing activity because they are busy. And I used to take it when we used to travel, and in the flight also we used to give, and the children used to do it, pom pom balls using tweezers, and they would keep doing it. So this is a fabulous activity. Dancing. Yes, it's a gross motor skill. Very good. Okay. Okay. See, so basically, you all understood what are gross motor skill activities, what are fine motor activities, everything you've got the difference very well. So they both are, end of the day, the bottom line is that they both are equally important for the child's development. Gross motor skill may bring, coordination, but more it's stability, and fine motor brings control, and we need it. Okay. Next one, let's move ahead. Now, see, this is how the entire sequence goes. So how gross motor skill and fine motor skill both are equally important. This is how the sequence goes. They start with crawling, then they walk, then they run, then they climb, then their shoulders become strong, shoulders and arms become stronger. Then they have their hands and fingers becoming stronger. Then they will hold the pencil correctly, and then they will write. So writing should not be gauged as the very first milestone. It is in fact one of the last ones, right? So this is how the development of the muscles of our children are developed. This is the sequence that they develop in. Now, why do fine motor skills matter so much? Like, I am more yapping about, and you've seen I'm talking about it, non-stop. Of course, the workshop does tell me to talk about it, but it is that important because see, it helps the children. Now, I have told you why, and activities I've also put across, and I've given you many examples also. But it, along with it, if the fine motor skills are developed, how does it help the child overall is what we'll talk about now. So the fine motor skill, it helps the children become independent. As I said, if you're teaching them how to open this bag, open and close their own bag, if you're teaching them how to close and open their water bottle, so they are becoming independent. We don't want the children to be dependent on these things, like opening, can you zip my bag, or can you button my shirt, can you sharpen my pencil? And trust me, you all know it must be happening so frequently in your classroom. But we can develop, if these are getting developed, they are becoming independent also. They help the children. Yes, as I said, many of these tasks, they require our hand muscles, they need to be strong and coordination. So this is how they will become more independent. Then it helps them support learning. So if you're teaching them how to color, or if you've taught them color red and you're giving them a red crayon to color, if their fine motor skills are, supporting them well, developed well, they will be able to hold the crayon and at least color, within the circle or whatever you've given, make it red. Cut along the lines with the scissors, turn pages one at a time, complete puzzles, threading. Yes, so these things. Then color within boundaries. So that is also, like a thing, we are not going to go outside the black line. We need to color inside the black line. All this also is a task for the children. It's not easy. Now we can color it, but once upon a time when we were young, we also need to, it also scribbles out, right? Then prepare the children for writing. This is like, we are preparing them. So many teachers, we believe that when a child, they actually, writing begins much earlier. It's not that. See, the child needs to develop their hand strength, their finger strength, their wrist stability. Then they'll be able to write properly. Otherwise, many children, they will keep complaining. This is paining, that is paining. And this could be, they are not making up or they are not making up any excuses. It may be paining because it is not that strong enough for so much of writing. Hand-eye coordination, see, all these things, they will helps them to do it. Fine motor skill, of course, it builds confidence. So now there are two children in your classroom. I've given you, the things that child A can do and what the child B can do. I'll put it across. Where is it gone? No, yeah. Okay, let me start with child A. So here you can read clearly. They can what all things they can do. They are quite independent, as in they can cut using scissors. They can button their shirt. They can color neatly. It may not be like as proficiently as we adults do, but they are able to manage it. So the child will, of course, if the child is able to do these things, they also feel like proud and confident. Okay, they are able to manage. But what about the child B? If he or she, if the child B needs help with every task, they get frustrated also easily when they are not able to button their shirt. They will like, I don't want to wear the shirt only. They avoid drawing and writing. They will say, I just don't like it. I will go and play. I don't want to do it. Okay, so this because the child's, fine motor skills are not that developed, not yet developed that way, and it affects their self-esteem. And they will resist against the idea of trying new tasks because they don't want to, we don't want that, right? You can also think of any child in your classroom who avoids all these things. So it could not be the problem of lack of interest or the child is lazy, but it could also be that their finger strength is not yet developed properly, right? Now, fine motor skills, they help children. Bottom line is this. Okay, so is that the children become confident, they become capable and independent learners. This is the crux of what all we just spoke. Okay, so every piece of Play-Doh rolled, paper torn, paper squeezed, crumpled, all these things are helping the child. Now, writing doesn't begin with a pencil. Let's just see. I wanted to put this in. I wanted to just put it across. So I'm just putting it here. So when do children hold a pencil? Is it in nursery or junior KG? It actually, the writing begins long before the child ever holds a pencil. It is basically the writing is the final step of this developmental journey that has been going on. So this is how the steps work. The very first thing is the shoulder stability that comes in. So shoulders provide, the foundation of controlled arm movements. So it's not the child has, gradually developed the writing skills. No, it is because it has been a long journey and slowly different muscles have been developing and then finally we've reached the process of writing. So the first is shoulder stability. They are crawling, they are, wall painting, they are stroking it in on the wall, they are cleaning the tables with a sponge. All these things, they come in this. So they are doing these. This is what we do. Then we have arm and wrist strength comes in the picture. The arm and the wrist strength. This helps them to move smoothly. Squeezing sponges, rolling clay, painting on vertical surfaces. So all these things will also help them, when they are painting it. And now they are not just roughly doing it. They are trying to do it. They are sponging. Sponge and water is also an excellent activity, because they are squeezing those fine motor muscles and they are like removing the water out. So that's what we want. Then finger strength comes into the picture. The third thing, shoulder, arm, wrist, finger strength. You're giving them tweezers, you're making them tear paper, they are picking up those pom-poms using those tweezers, controlling the tweezers, using pegs, pinching Play-Doh. All these things, they also happen in this, right? The fourth is the bilateral coordination that happens. So the children learn to use both their fingers. It's like one hand stabilizes while other one works. So if we are cutting, so they are using their hold one with one hand, they are using the paper, holding the paper, and the other one is using scissors. So this is bilateral coordination that also happens. And you know, one very nice bilateral coordination activity that you can make the children do is just tell them to give them a sheet of paper, tell them to hold a crayon in both their hands, and make them make circles using both the hands together. So like, you know, one circle here, one circle with non-dominant hand. So this also works in many ways. There are many benefits of this activity. You can randomly give it to the children, and this can also be an activity when we had that uh, case study which I told you earlier, that you know, if a child is done with their worksheet and she disturbs the class, you can do this. You know, you don't have to prepare, you just have to give a piece of paper and two crayons and show it to the child before the activity, and let each and every child do it. It really helps. You know, peeling paper, see, pinching Play-Doh, they are removing it with tweezers, threading beads, all these things. Then comes hand-eye coordination. When they are going through the maze, they are working on the maze, where the pencil goes, sticker activities, ball rolling, peg boards, you name it and it happens. Opening and closing jars also. Then comes the pencil grip. After all these steps, and many a times step 1 to 5 is totally ignored, or you know, one of the steps also is lacking in strength, there will be a problem. The child will be facing a problem. That's the thing. They will be struggling basically. A proper pencil grip becomes easier because the muscles are ready. This is what we want. So these are the things, you know, you can do. You can make them do maze, blocks, and all these things. So this is the ladder that you need to remember. First, when the child is playing, there's an active play, the shoulder needs stability. Then comes the wrist strength and the arm strength. Then comes the fingers, the bilateral coordination, hand-eye coordination, pencil grip, and then writing. So please don't forget that you can keep incorporating small activities, any buffer activities, you can keep doing it. Okay. So see, that's what I said. If one step is weak, the next step becomes difficult. So the child is only the one who's struggling. You know, we don't want that. So you need, writing is like building a house. So you need a strong foundation before adding the roof. Writing is like adding the roof to the house. But what about the foundation below? Okay, so they don't become good writers by writing more, or they don't become good writers, you know, by just, you know, telling them and making them do it. No, they become when their muscles are strengthened properly. The stronger the foundation, writing becomes that easier. So I have put in some finger gym activities also for you all. The tiny muscles, they need exercises too. So you can make them do it, you know, if you have any spare time, anytime, you can make them do it. So see here, what example I wanted to put in was like, if an athlete wants stronger muscles, they practice every day, they exercise every day, they train every day. Children also, for them, these tiny muscles need these things, needs practice, needs exercising every day. Just like running strengthens leg muscles, just like, you know, we need activities that strengthen these small muscles also of hands and fingers. We will call this finger gym. These activities, they are playful, fun, they don't feel like work, but they are actually preparing the children for writing. Why finger gym? You all know already. I will not do it, but only these activities, they help us when the children think that they are playing, they are having some fun, they are doing some game, and it's actually preparing them and helping them. Okay, so first, basically, a quick finger warm-up is open and close your fist 10 times. Tap your thumb with each finger. Tap your thumb with each finger. You can also do it. Make circles with your thumb and index finger. To squeeze a lemon. Squeeze or sponge. Wiggle your fingers as fast as you can. See how much time it took. You can make them do it even for 30 seconds is more than enough. 20 seconds is also more than enough. It will not take much time. This is just a quick warm up that you can do. So like with these activities, what happened? Just a minute of movement activates the muscles. Imagine how beneficial these exercises will be for the young children if they do it daily. Okay, so now here we have some activities along with that. That was just a warm up. You can do it during, after the prayer time or before the day starts. You can make them do it, and just like it takes 10 seconds or 20 seconds, in fact, to complete the entire thing, and it will be, trust me, it will work, and you don't have to prepare. You can do our finger rhymes that we do, in C bitsy spider went up the down, whatever. I'm sorry, I'm not able to recollect that. So you can do that. Open them, shut them, open them, shut them. Finger puppets, make them do it. You can also draw with a marker, a happy face, a angry finger, the sad finger, and they can also make it move, like they all are dancing. And you can do these simple activities. Bubble popping. Bubble popping also works, teachers. It really, really works. And it's the best activity to relax them. Squeezing sponges, picking up coins, give them coins, they have to pick up. Opening and closing cloth pegs. Then we have squeezing and of soap or hand wash bottle, that's pumping it out. Popping bubble wrap is, I used to collect it when I was a preschool teacher. Trust me, I used to collect bubble wraps. If we got something and there is a bubble wrap, I would say nobody will use it, because I used to take it in school and I used to make the children pop it. And it's so much fun. It's so satisfying. Somehow I find it very calming. So these activities require very little preparation. And you know that by now. I will not give you anything when you require too much of preparation. Strong fingers don't happen overnight. Trust me, you need to keep doing this, incorporating every single day. Okay, now we come to the activity bank. That is the last leg of our thing mostly. Yes. So let's look beyond the activity itself. Instead of asking what can children do today, you will ask what skill will this activity develop. So this will completely change your outlook towards the activities. Okay, if you are doing an activity, if you have something that mentioned, okay, you need to make them do painting today. You think like this, okay, I have to make them do painting, but you think that which activity will it develop? Fine motor skills. Okay, so let me just help them, let me develop those, let me focus on that as well. So for this is the activity, I've just given you simple things because most of the pictures I've already showed. So threading beads, I have also mentioned the strength or the what is it helping in developing. So which is bilateral coordination, and hand control comes into picture when we are cutting scissors, tweezers and tongs. We have cloth pegs, tearing paper, sticker pasting. Puzzles are like, visual perception, hand-eye coordination. When it comes to building blocks, they have to use their wrist to also manage the blocks. Problem-solving skills are developed. Coloring. So if the, no, I think I've made a mistake with this. Yeah. So now I have some classroom scenarios also within front of you. This will be the last leg of it, so I won't take much of your time, teachers. So the teacher A says that my child needs more handwriting practice. Rather than that, the teacher B will say that my child needs stronger fingers before they start practicing their handwriting. So the teacher here clearly teacher B is focusing on the root cause of the problem, that they need to develop these skills. See, nobody wants those scribbled or nobody wants those messy handwriting. It is because of this. This reinforces the idea that handwriting is an outcome, not a starting point. Don't choose activities because they are fun. Choose them because they are strengthen the skills the children need most. Okay. So when teachers understand the purpose behind every activity, planning them and makes it more meaningful and effective. Okay, teachers, remember that. Now here, I've also helped put forward, you can keep this, or you can have a corner in the room, or make a strength station, or make a Princer grip station kind of a thing, like, or have a box that is filled up with these things, and you can put it with the children and make them do these activities, so all of them are doing different activities, but the same skills are getting developed. So, like, for example, let me just see, I have put in, no, that is the learning center. Let me just come to this. So this is basically, you can do these baskets and kind of a thing with them. You can make them do it. So these are the stations that you can secure. That's okay. Let me move ahead to the learning center. So basically, you can, as I said, you can prepare a basket or keep a small table aside to these different activities, and let the children keep doing it regularly, periodically, every day. They can keep doing it. Have some puzzles set up in the corner only. So once their activity or worksheet is done, they have to go and do the puzzle. So different kinds of puzzle, different children are doing different things, but the purpose is served. Then we have art center. Give them free play, give them some crayons, give them some paint brushes, give them some paints, spread a nice newspaper or a plastic sheet, let the children sit on it, give them some spare papers, let them do what they want to do, give them that time to just explore it. They are having fun doing that. There is unrestricted fun that they can do, but also their fine motor skills are getting developed. Lacing centers. There are so many lacing things that are available in the market, or you can just simply take a printout of any butterfly, anything, and just put some punch using that punching machine. You can do these punches and give them. Do it on a thick paper, anything, and you can do it, and your lacing center is prepared. Writing center. Now here you can put, different crayons, give them the thick ones, the thin ones, pencils, give them some sketch pens if you want to. Tell them to just, over trace it on some letters. Don't prepare all this. You can if you wish to. I am never going to say no for this, but I'm just giving you some ideas. Construction time. Give them those nuts and bolts are excellent when it comes to bilateral coordination, also when it comes to finger strengthening, wrist stability, everything, like the plastic nuts and bolts are there, and they unscrew it and screw it and everything. So this also really helps. Blocks works wonders. Sensory center you can set up, like give them, you can make a sensory book also if you have time, and give all different textures to it. Let the children feel through it, so they are flipping it also, and they are feeling. Their muscles are going to develop with just feeling different sensors also. So, and now here we are at the thing where common mistakes we end up doing. And trust me, I have done it also. I have seen other teachers do it also. So there's nothing like, okay, we need to be careful. If you are doing it, we can rectify it. If you're not doing it, remember, we don't have to do it. That's it. Giving pencils too early. Too many worksheets that needs to be done. Like, okay, we are only going to teach them 2 worksheets in a day. What is the child going to do the entire day? They are in preschool. The idea of preschool is that to develop other things, not only academic. So let's not enter that rat race. Let's focus on the development of the child. Many worksheets, don't do that. Helping children too much, like not making them independent, helping them before they ask, you are going to go and help them. Don't do that. Comparing handwriting, expecting perfection. And trust me, I lacked at this. I was expecting, like I've been developing these skills. I've been helping my children with this, and still the perfection, I was running behind it. And it was like a shock, like not a shock, but a very, when I realized it, it was a tough moment for me. So you can also do that. Remember, don't expect too much. They are children. So as I said, too many worksheets helping children. Okay, no, this is, yeah. See, using only coloring worksheets, don't do that. You can give them thumb printing, you can give them finger printing, tell them to paint with their fingers, tell them to, give them some stamps, give them some stencil, give them a toothbrush, and make them do this activity, like, brush painting, all these things. Don't be restricted to only one thing, like, okay, like I have to give you crayons or paintbrush. No, there are many things to explore. Ignoring finger strengthening, most important. What can we do? Instead, we need to play more, make them explore more, Strengthen first and write later. Okay, play more, explore more, strengthen first and write later. Okay, so a nursery, here again I've put in a case study over here. A nursery child refuses to color. Of course, the teacher will the teacher may say he's lazy. What actually could be happening is their weak fine motor, poor grip, low confidence, sensory issues. They may not like the texture. They may not have interest, and it may have gone because the child is not able to do. What does the child need? The child needs finger strength, wrist stability, bilateral coordination, practice, and fun before writing. Okay, teachers. So, yeah, I had written this earlier also. I just liked it so much. So, yeah. So, this is just one small thing that I have added is the hand model. Each finger represents one essential skill. Grip strength, finger control, hand-eye coordination, bilateral coordination, independence in daily tasks. Palm is the foundation. So, you can remember these together. If these are developed, the foundation will be strong. Okay, remember this. Okay, teachers, I'll repeat it one more time and then we are at the end of it. Then you can shoot any questions you have. But yeah, so thumb is where the grip strength stays. Finger control. We use our index fingers. Middle finger is the hand-eye coordination when you are using something. Ring finger is bilateral coordination. Little finger is independence in daily tasks. Palm is the foundation. Okay, remember these skills. Thank you for your attention, teachers. Thank you so much. Any 1 minute, yeah. So anybody, any questions, any doubts, you can definitely let me know, or you can put in your yes, and one of the teachers did mention, about that, yeah, it was easy for you guys because in the phone, you use your thumb more frequently. So that was my bad because what I did was if you are using a laptop, you will be using your index finger more. So that was my bad. I should have said if you're using your phone, use your thumb for that icebreaker activity. And if you're using don't use your thumb. And if you're using the laptop or anything, you can skip using your index finger. Yes, so that's why it became easy. That was my bad. Thank you for putting it across. Any doubt, anything, teachers, anything you want to share, anything, just let me know, please. Otherwise, you can give your feedback. Yes, ma'am. You have a doubt? Yes, ma'am. You can either unmute and tell me. Yes, this is possible for okay, so first question is it possible for UKG kids? Yes, they are still in preschool. It is possible. You just have to, make it little challenging. For example, if for junior KG children, you're just giving them basic scissor cutting, like cutting of scissors. For UKG children, what you can do is you can give them lines, zigzag lines to cut with the scissors. So just make it more challenging for them. So if you're threading the beads, give the size of the beads a little smaller so that, it becomes more focused. Don't make the thread also very thick. Don't keep it very thick. You can use wool and tell them to string those things rather than thick strings. Okay, so that way you can improvise. But yes, UKG children also needs these activities. How long we should repeat activities? Now, it's a good question. What you can do is you can select, say, any 2 activities. For example, I was just talking about scissors and threading, for example, okay, the threading of beads. So take 2 activities. Keep rotating these 2 activities for approximate, 2 weeks. See how well the child are, if the children are still enjoying it, continue for 2 weeks. If you think that, okay, by 1.5 weeks, okay, I think they are done with this activity, put it aside, take out another one, make them do another one, give them Play-Doh. Give them give them tweezers and pom-poms. So keep switching those activities alternatively, but keep doing it, keep circulating it. Don't be restricted. Okay, once I did this activity at the beginning of the year, now I don't have to do it. Don't do that. Don't do that. Yes. Any other?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, for say the child is in UKG or grade 1 and they are not writing in a structured way, like not in a 4 lines. So, shall we repeat from step one itself?
Uh, See, what you can do is you can give them activities that has, step one, what helps, which activity will help in developing the step one, and see where is the child struggling. Like, what is it? It could also be, wrist stability is not there, the strengthening of the wrist. It could also be that their fingers are not developed. So first you need to understand, give them different activities and see where is the child lacking. Where is the child struggling, basically, not lacking, but struggling. See that, and then you can work on it, and trust me, and give them, if they are, even though they are in UKG grade 1, just tell the parents also to give them play-doh every day, for some time. Tell them to make things, roll things, give them a picture, or tell the parents to also see a picture, look out for a picture on the net and see that, okay, let's make this from play-doh. Where they are, rolling it, where they are folding it, where they are giving a shape to it. So all these things are working. And also make them do different kind of an art activity, like give them coloring, so they are understanding the idea of doing it within the structure. Like if you're giving them a circle and telling them to paint only inside the circle, so they are learning that control. So that control will pass on to when they are writing, so they will be able to limit their letters within those 4 lines and not go beyond it. That will be a little slow process, but make them do it. It will not happen overnight, but you can definitely try this. And they are still young. These things will shape their skills, muscles very well.
Ma'am, one more thing.
Yes.
What about the child doesn't love to write at all, or they are not interested in writing at all? They have finger grip, but when
Hmm.
it comes to writing, they doesn't love it.
See, that could also be because, we as, be it as parents or be it as teachers now, we start focusing only on the idea of writing. So that is something the children will end up losing that interest. Because for us also as adults, if we keep telling children, somebody keeps telling us also, you have to do, you have to do, you have to do, it has to be perfect, we will start losing interest. So what you can do is, you can tell the child that, okay, they have their finger grip, everything fine, don't go behind the idea of keeping it neat for some time. Tell the child, complete it. First thing you can make the child do is, if they are doing it very messy, they just don't want to do it, tell the child, write however you wish to write. Okay, it can be dirty, I am okay with it right now, but write. Get them to start writing first slowly, or give them that reinforcement. Okay, I have got some shiny stars stickers today, so whoever writes will get a sticker on their worksheet. Put a sticker to all the children, the child will also want it. Or if you know the child likes cars, for example, get some car stickers. Make them do it. Or draw a car with a glitter pen. They love glitter pens also. Do a little bit with the glitter pen, they will work. So do different reinforcement. But first, don't force the child to write neatly. And also tell the child, you can tell the child, see, it won't take much time. If you finish it, it can be done in 3 minutes only. So you just have to use 3 minutes. So the idea that they don't have to write it for a longer time and only for 3 minutes also works. So try that also. Try these different things which is applying to the child. So by the time, you will also understand that what is working for the child and what isn't. But first and foremost, don't keep forcing the child to write neatly. That word itself, makes them push away from writing. Just tell them, write. Whichever way you want to write, write. Once in a while, tell them, okay, let's not use pencils today. Write with a sketch pen. Let's write with some brush pens. Let's write with glitter pens. Let's write with crayons. Make it a little fun. So they are, end of the day, they are writing. Our purpose is served, that we want them to write. How are they writing? We can let it go for some time, that way. We can make them do that.
Ma'am, one more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Like initially, as a teacher, I have accepted the child is not writing neatly.
Hmm.
Later on, like after a few weeks, then I'm saying the child to write it in a correct, in a neat way.
Hmm. Hmm.
It doesn't going to confuse the child. Like my
No,
teacher was
see,
ready before,
huh.
but
Okay,
now she
okay,
is
okay.
not ready with my
No,
handwriting.
see, you can do it, you will have to shift gradually. For example, if you tried this, just write. I am not saying that you have to tell them, don't write neatly. Just say, write. However you want to write, you write. You will not correct the child in writing neatly, first point. Second point, after you see, okay, this child is now writing, okay, he is not now, the interest is there, the child is writing. So you've seen it consistently happening for 1 week. He's not complained, he's not cribbed, he's not come up with any excuses to not write. The child is writing. So the next step will be that you will now tell the child that, okay, today any child who will write little neater than earlier what they used to, I will give them a star. You can try that reward system that time. Now, then again, you will tell the child that, wow, your handwriting has improved. Do you? Okay. So encourage the child. Again, after a week, if you see the child is making efforts, doing it, you can just, quietly tell the child, why not we write it within these lines? How do you think? Will you be able to manage? Do you think it can work? Let's try. Give them. Tell them, just write for 2 minutes, write for 3 minutes. Give them the timeline also idea that I gave you. You can try that trick also with them. But gradually go for it. Don't ignore the idea that, okay, for 3 months, I have to ignore the neatness. No. Go slowly. See if the child is now, the step one is the child has taken one step ahead, that, okay, now he writes. Then we will go to the next step. And that's how they will happen. And you may not even realize sometime after, once they start writing, they will automatically start writing neatly, because as you mentioned, their grip and everything is proper, right? So that may automatically happen without you even making any other effort. Yes, so try that way, it should work. If not, you can definitely get in touch with us, and we can work on it. But these should help the child.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, ma'am. You're welcome. Any other suggestions? Anything you can? Okay, I will keep the window open for more 2 minutes, 2 or 5 minutes. You can drop in your suggestions, your feedbacks. If you have, like, just put it in the chat box. Give us a review also, please. That would be great. And any doubts, anything, please do let me know. I'll keep the window open. Thank you so much, teachers. Before I just, like we end the session, for being such an amazing and interactive lot, like it's fun, like I enjoy the chat box icebreaker activities and all these assessments and everything. I enjoy the interaction that we have, how much ever we are able to have, but I really enjoy it. And thank you so much, teachers. And yes, if you don't have any doubts, you can leave the meeting if you wish to, but I'll keep it open for more 2 or 3 minutes before we end the session. If anybody has any doubts or anything, I'll keep it open. I will work and try to provide a list of icebreakers, or you can see, our recordings are already there. So you'll see for so many workshops that we've done, we have a lot of icebreakers already done in every session. So you can review that and you can have a view, you can view that and you can take the icebreakers. But I will try if I can manage and I can get or anything as such. I will try to provide. And yes, teachers, we've also put in our review link. Please do go on the link and share. And please do review us. It would be great, teachers. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Mitali ma'am. Thanks for conducting the session and giving such wonderful activity, fine motor skill activities, whatever the things they have to do in the classroom. I hope all the teachers have got really some wonderful insights on the same. It was the need of an hour, and everybody was asking for this training from so long. So thank you so much for conducting the sessions. So teachers, if you have any queries, you can just ask. Otherwise, we are just going to wind up the session now because it's already 3:16 and we have put a review link in the chat box. You can just put your reviews on that. If you want any updation, if you have any feedback, you can just update us. We'll do the needful. Okay. So I hope there is no, just hold on. Let me just check in the chat box if there is any query or question. Okay, so there are no questions in the chat box. So thank you, teachers. Thank you, Mitali ma'am. Thanks for conducting the session. So we'll see you in the next session. We'll share you the details on the same, right? Thank you, teachers. Thanks for joining the session. Have a good day. Thank you. We are winding up the session now.